Thank you for taking the time to click on this video. How are you doing? Okay. Let me ask you a few questions. Do you feel alone? Do you feel like the things you do go unnoticed? Do you feel like you give so much love to others, but don't always receive the same in return? Do you feel invisible? Do you feel like you're carrying everything by yourself? If you said yes to even one of those questions, please keep listening. I know what that feels like. I know what it's like to be in a room full of people and still feel completely isolated. To scroll through messages and photos and just seeing everyone having the time of their lives. And yeah, you wonder why it feels like everyone else has that life that you somehow missed or didn't have the opportunity for. I know what it's like to put on a smile and pretend that everything will be fine. And you continue to believe it until you're alone again. And suddenly, that heavy feeling comes back with a vengeance. Maybe even telling yourself things like, I'm being dramatic. I shouldn't feel like this. Other people have it worse. I don't want to bother anyone. Or they wouldn't understand. Just pause for a moment and just understand that you matter. You really do. You do matter. Your existence is not an accident. The space you take up in this world is not wasted. Your feelings are not wrong for existing. I know what it's like when someone I care about, someone who is important to me, was in so much pain that they try to end it. Thing is, they didn't do it because they were weak. They didn't do it because they were selfish. They did it because the pain became louder than everything else. Because their mind convinced them that the world would keep going just fine without them. Because they felt trapped in their thoughts that wouldn't let them rest. And perhaps that sounds familiar to you. If you've ever caught yourself thinking that they'd be better off without me, or I'm just a burden, or that I don't see a future, or that I'm just tired of fighting, I just wanted to stop. Those thoughts are not the truth. They are symptoms. They are the voice of exhaustion. That is you, who has been battling a war for far too long. You're not broken for having these thoughts, but you do not have to face them alone. A part of you is important. A part of you is brave. And even if you don't feel brave, sometimes courage just doesn't look like it's just standing tall. Sometimes courage looks like it's staying. Like you just want to reach out. And even if you don't know what you'd say yet, if you're struggling right now, I want you to pause for a second and just breathe. Just breathe for a second. It really doesn't matter, because if you don't let yourself just rest for even a second, it just keeps piling up on you, and it just worsens. And That's the last thing you need to do, is to just let this take over you. You don't need to fix your entire life tonight. You don't need to have the answers. You don't need to suddenly feel hopeful. All you need to do right now is stay. Stay in this moment. Stay breathing. Stay with me. There are people, even if your mind is telling you otherwise, who would be devastated to lose you. People whose lives are quieter because you're not there. People who smile because of things you don't even realize you do. People who haven't met you yet, who will one day be changed by you being there. Your story is not finished. And I know that might be hard to believe when everything feels dark. Darkness wants you to believe the worst of things. It makes the future shrink and look grim, you know. It makes the past replay over and over. It makes you forget every version of yourself that survived something you once thought you couldn't. And yet, you're still here. Which means you've already made it through so much. If things feel unbearable right now, please reach out to someone. A friend, a family member, a teacher, a coworker, a therapist, a hotline. Someone whose job is to listen. You are not invisible. Even if no one has said your name today, you are not replaceable. There is only one you. You are not weak for struggling. You are human. And you deserve help. You deserve happiness. You deserve rest. And you deserve a future that you haven't been able to picture yet. Now, I want to take a moment to speak to those who are fortunate enough to have people in your life. People who actually do care. Such as family members, friends, partners, coworkers, you know, just someone who checks in. Someone who would notice if you were gone. And if that's you, pay close attention. Having people who care about you does not make your pain invalid. Struggling while surrounded by love doesn't mean that you're ungrateful. You can be deeply loved and still feel empty. You can have support and still feel overwhelmed. Both things can exist at the same time, but I want you to remember that the people who are there for you, the ones who listen, the ones who try, the ones who sit with you when things get quiet, the ones who might not always know the right words, but they show up anyway. Those people are not guaranteed in everyone's life. Some people don't have that. Some come from homes where they were beat down, ignored, hurt, told to get over it, or forced to grow up too fast. Some people are fighting this battle with almost no one beside them. So, if you do have someone safe, someone who loves you, someone who would pick up the phone at like 3 in the morning, no matter what, I want you to recognize how precious that is, how lucky you are to have that. Not in a way that makes you feel guilty, but in a way that reminds you that you are not as alone as your mind might be telling you. And maybe today, or tomorrow, or sometime soon, you'll let one of them in a little more. You don't have to tell them everything. You don't have to give a perfect speech. Even something as simple as, I've been having a hard time lately, or I'm not okay, or I could just really use a hug right now. that can open a door. People who care about you usually want to help. They just don't always know how until you let them see inside. And if you're listening to this thinking, I don't want to worry them, or I don't want to be a burden to them, truth is, caring about you is not a burden. Loving you is not a chore. If someone truly cares, your honesty is not an inconvenience. It's a gift. It gives them the chance to stand beside you, to protect you, to remind you who you are when you forget. So, if you have people in your life, please don't shut them out in silence. Let them sit next to you in this. Let them hold part of the weight. And at the same time, hold compassion in your heart for those who don't have that kind of support. For people who had to learn how to survive alone. For people who never felt safe asking for help. For people who are still searching for someone to call family. Gratitude and empathy can live together. You can be thankful for the people in your life and still care deeply about those who don't know or don't have that same thing that you have. You can be thankful for the people in your life and still care deeply about those who don't have what you have. Both matter. Both are real. And if you're lucky enough to be loved, let that love reach you, even just a little. You don't have to handle everything by yourself. Now in this section, this is for those who are also fortunate enough to have family and friends, except they don't really show up for you. Maybe when you try to open up, you're told to get over it. Stop being dramatic. Just be positive. Maybe no one checks in on you. No one asks how you're really doing. No one notices when you go quiet. Even though you're always the one asking them. The one listening. The one remembering birthdays. The one showing up. The one carrying everyone else's problems. The one holding everyone together. Maybe you're the emotional glue in your family. The fixer, the reliable one, the strong one. And because you're strong, people forget that you get tired too. That you hurt too. That you hurt too. That you need care too. And if that sounds like you, listen up. That kind of loneliness cuts deep. Being surrounded by people and still feeling invisible is one of the most painful experiences there is. And it can make you start wondering, am I asking for too much? Is something wrong with me? Why do I always get more than I get? Would anyone notice if I stopped trying? Thing is, you are not asking for too much. You are asking the wrong people for what they may not know how to give. That is not a flaw in you. That is not a failure in your worth. You are not broken for wanting mutuality, for wanting to be checked in, or checked on, for wanting to be checked on, for wanting someone to choose your back, for wanting the same care that you pour into others. That is human, that is healthy, and that is love. If you've spent a long time being the one who holds everything else up, or holding everyone else up, it can feel terrifying to imagine what would happen if you stopped. Like everything would fall apart. Like you'd disappoint everyone. Like you'd finally be forgotten. But that's not the case. You do not exist solely to keep other people from sinking. You are not responsible for fixing everyone. You are allowed to need things. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to say, I can't do this alone anymore. I need help. I'm exhausted. I feel invisible. Even if no one around you has ever taught you that those words are safe to say. Remember, just because someone is related to you does not automatically mean that they know how to love you well. Just because someone has been in your life for a long time does not mean that they are entitled to drain you. You deserve relationships where effort goes both ways, where your feelings are not dismissed, where your kindness is not taken for granted, where your presence is celebrated, not just tolerated. If your family or friends have made you feel small, unimportant, replaceable, know that those words are not facts. They are wounds. They are patterns. They are reflections of their limitations, not your value. And if you're listening to this right now thinking, I don't think anyone would come if I asked, or I've tried before, they don't listen, I always get shut down. That hurts deeply. And I'm so sorry that you've been carrying that. But remember, even if the people closest to you can't give you the care that you need, that does not mean that you don't deserve care. It means that your circle may need to grow. It means that there are people out there, professionals, mentors, communities, strangers, who will one day become family, who are capable of seeing you in ways that these people cannot. You are not meant to survive on scraps of affection. You are meant to be met with warmth, with consistency, with effort, with love that doesn't have to be begged for. And if you are exhausted from always being the strong one, from being the caretaker, from being the emotional support for everyone else, I want you to imagine, for a moment, what it would feel like to be held instead, to be the one someone checks on first, to be the one that someone notices is struggling. You deserve that, even if you've never really had it. Especially if you've really never had it. You are not invisible here. I see you. And I'm really glad you're still here. And I'm really glad you're still here. No family to call. No friends who check in. No one who asks how your day was. No one who notices when you disappear for a while. Maybe you've learned how to handle everything on your own because you had no other choice. Maybe you stopped expecting help because it never came. Maybe you've been your own support system for so long that asking for anything feels wrong, or even dangerous. If that's you, I want you to listen to this. What you've been doing is not weakness, it is survival. Waking up every day with no safety net takes a kind of strength that most people never see. Learning to comfort yourself, pushing yourself forward, holding yourself together in silence, that is not nothing to you. That is powerful. But just because you can survive alone does not mean that you are meant to. Humans are not built to carry everything by themselves. Needing connection is not a flaw. Wanting someone to care is not embarrassing. Longing to be chosen is not selfish. It is human. It is natural. And if no one has told you this lately, I am really proud of you for still being here, for getting through days that feel impossible, for finding reasons, even small ones, to keep going. That tells me something important. It tells me that somewhere inside you is a part that still hopes for relief. A part that still wants things to get better. Even if you don't fully believe that yet. If you've ever thought there's no one to call, no one would notice, I don't matter to anyone, I could disappear and nothing would change. Guess what? You matter because you exist. Not because of who knows you. Not because of how useful you are. Not because of how much you give. Your life does not need witnesses to be valuable. You are valuable by default. And even if right now your world feels painfully small, There are people you haven't met yet who will be grateful you stayed. People whose lives will be different because you crossed their path. People who will care deeply about you, not out of obligation, but by choice. You don't need to meet them yet. You just need to keep going long enough to give that future a chance. And I know that can feel exhausting. Being your own everything for years or your entire life is tiring in a way words barely touch. So, if you're listening to this and your chest feels tight, or your eyes burn, or your thoughts keep repeating over and over and over and over, I want you to slow down with me for a moment. Feel where you are sitting, laying, standing. Feel the ground beneath you. Feel the air moving in and out. You are here. You made it to the second. That matters. And I want to say something very important. If you're ever in a place where staying alive feels unbearable, you do not have to handle that alone either, even if you've always had to. There are people whose entire job is to listen to you in moments like this. You are not intruding. You are not wasting your time. You are not weak for reaching out. You deserve support, even if your life has taught you not to expect it. And until you find people who can stand beside you in person, let this be one place where you are not invisible, where someone is speaking directly to you, where your pain is being acknowledged, where your existence is being taken seriously. You are not pathetic for wanting connection. You are not pathetic for wanting someone. You are not broken for needing comfort. You are not failing for struggling. You are surviving something incredibly hard, and I'm really glad that you're still here. And now, this is for everyone. No matter where you come from, no matter what your support system looks like, no matter how long you've been carrying this quietly, if you are listening right now, you, yes you matter. Your pain matters. Your story matters. Even if it feels messy, even if it feels unfinished, and even if it feels like no one has been paying attention, I want you to know something important. You are not strange for feeling the way you do. You are not dramatic. You are not broken. You are responding to life with the tools that you are given. And the fact that you are still here, still breathing, still trying, even in ways that don't look impressive from the outside, that is strength. Real strength. The kind of strength that keeps going even when everything hurts. The kind in which you woke up to a brand new day. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to know what tomorrow looks like, or next month, or even next year. You don't need to suddenly feel hopeful. In fact, hope can be very small. Hope can be believing that maybe, just maybe, your life is worth protecting. Because it is. If you take anything that I am saying right now to you, let it be this. You are not alone in how you feel. Someone, somewhere, understands. Someone cares. Even if your brain is telling you otherwise. Even if your past self has tried to convince you that you're on your own. Just please remember that reaching out is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is self-preservation. It is choosing yourself. Whether that means talking to a loved one, a stranger, a professional, or a crisis line, you deserve to be heard. You deserve to be taken seriously. You deserve support. If today is heavy, don't think about the rest of your life. Just think about tonight. Think about the next hour. Think about the next breath. Small steps still count. Staying still counts. And most importantly, surviving counts. And if no one has told you this recently, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for making it this far. For everything you've endured. For all the battles that no one saw. For choosing to stay. Thank you for being here. And thank you for listening. And I truly hope you keep going. One breath. One moment. One day at a time. You are worth it. Always. Stay strong.